This is a brief introduction into resource markets and the first video associated with our next unit, which is just a meditation on the nature of factor markets. There are three general types of resource markets: those for land, labor, and capital. And the price and the quantity of each resource are determined in its resource market. Rent and the quantity of land are determined in the land market. The wage rate, the number of people employed, are determined in the labor market, and the interest rate and the quantity of capital used are determined in the capital market. Although each of these markets is unique, they're all markets, and they simply involve the demand for and the supply of that particular resource. Although these markets are no different from other markets that we've talked about up to this point, the fact that they are markets for goods and services that are used to create and sell other goods and services complicates things just a little bit. Now, to understand resource markets, you need to realize that the roles of firms and households are reversed from what they are in the product markets. The figure that I'm showing you right here, we're back to the simple circular flow diagram. It illustrates the roles of firms and households in the product and resource markets or factor markets. Households buy goods and services from firms. Firms sell goods and services and receive revenue. Resource market is represented by here the bottom half of the diagram. The households are the sellers of the resources and the firms are the buyers of the resources. Households sell resources as shown from the line here going from households to firms, and then the firms pay for the resources as income, as shown by this green line that's going from firms back to households. Resources aren't really wanted for themselves, but for what they can produce. And a firm uses resources in order to produce goods and services. And that means then the demand for a resource by a firm really depends on the demand for goods and services that the firm produces. And for this reason, the demand for resources is often called derived demand. And that just simply is demand stemming from what a resource can produce and not the demand for the resource itself. Various examples of here is an auto manufacturer like Ford uses land, labor, and capital in order to produce cars. A retail t-shirt store like Orangutan House here will use land, labor, and capital to produce t-shirts, and our farmer will use land, labor, and capital in order to produce agricultural products. Households supply their labor to earn income, and households purchase stocks and bonds and other financial capital in order to supply firms with the ability to then acquire resources. The houses do this in order to earn a little bit of profit and an additional income. Households also offer their land and minerals and trees and resources, natural resources, up for sale sometimes, and they would then supply firms with the land that firms ultimately need to produce. So, a recap. Resource markets or factor markets are classified into three basic types of markets: land markets, labor markets, and capital markets. The price of each resource and type of each resource, rent, wages, and interest, and the quantities of each of these resources are determined in the resource or factor markets. The buyers of the resources are the firms. They're the ones doing the demand. The suppliers of these resources are the households, and they're the ones doing the supply. That's the basic difference between product markets that we've been discussing and the resource markets that we are about to discuss. I hope that is very, very clear. I'll see you soon in the next video.